Have you ever wondered what it truly takes for a country to design a fighter jet that not only defends its skies, but also challenges global giants like the F-16 or the Rafale? Because that's exactly what's happening right now. And if you're someone who lives and breathes airplanes, especially fighter jets, then what India is building could very well change everything you thought you knew about military aviation in South Asia. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the HAL Tejas Mk2 isn't just another aircraft. It's a symbol of transformation and possibly the beginning of a new era in aerial warfare. And if you stick around till the end, you'll also discover one crucial detail about the Mk2's hidden potential that even most aviation forums haven't fully caught on to yet. So let's dive in. For decades, India has heavily relied on foreign aircraft to defend its skies. Russian MiGs, French Mirages, and more recently, the Dassault Rafale. These jets perform their roles, no doubt. But with each contract came dependencies, costs, limitations, and sometimes delays that compromise national security. India needed a solution, not just a temporary one, but something indigenous, powerful, and future-ready. That's how the original HAL Tejas Mk1 was born. It was small, lightweight, agile, a proud moment for India's aerospace ambitions. But in the world of fast-evolving threats and modern multi-role warfare, the Mk1 had its limits. It was a stepping stone, not the destination. This is where the Tejas Mk2 steps in. But before we get to its specs and power, let's zoom out a little. Understanding the psychology of fighter jet development isn't just about tech specs, it's about intention. Why does a country go through the complex, time-consuming, and expensive process of building its own fighter jet? The answer lies in control and credibility. According to defense strategist Dr. Bharat Karnad, indigenous military platforms aren't just tools, they're statements. Statements of sovereignty, technological maturity, and strategic deterrence. When a nation builds its own jet, it tells the world, we don't need to knock on doors to secure our borders. That's a deep psychological shift, especially for countries like India that have long been on the receiving end of conditional defense deals. The Tejas Mk2 represents the end of that chapter, and the beginning of something much bigger. It's not a symbolic upgrade, it's a leap in every way possible. A leap that says, we are done playing catch-up. Now we build. Think of how aviation lovers across the world admire aircraft like the Eurofighter Typhoon, the JAS-39 Gripen, or even China's J-10C. What makes these jets impressive isn't just their radar or speed, it's how they reflect the identity of the nation behind them. The Mk2 is India's answer to that. And here's where things get interesting from a psychological point of view. Aviation fans love legacy. They follow stories. From the P-51 Mustang to the F-22 Raptor, each aircraft has a lineage, a purpose. And now, Tejas Mk2 is beginning its own story, with roots that go back to the 1980s, when India's light combat aircraft program was just an idea on paper. After years of research, delays, redesigns, and political hurdles, finally, in 2026, a prototype is expected to take flight. But why is 2026 such a game-changing moment? Because this jet is not just built for India. It's built for the world to take notice. In fact, aviation experts from Flight Global and Jane's Defense Weekly have noted that the Mk2, if successful, will place India in a rare club. Countries that can design, test, and field combat aircraft of 4, 5+ generation entirely in-house. For aviation enthusiasts, this is a historic shift. Just like how Sweden stunned the world with the Gripen, India is now showing that you don't need a $1 trillion budget to build something smart, deadly, and efficient. But here's what makes it even more fascinating. Unlike many defense projects that remain locked behind secrecy, India is openly showcasing the Mk2's development. From design blueprints to wind tunnel tests, it's all been released to the public in stages. This transparency has built a kind of cult following around the aircraft, especially among the next generation of aviation lovers and defense analysts. People aren't just watching this jet for its specs, they're watching it for what it represents, India's aerospace coming of age. So when we say, this changes everything, we don't mean it lightly. We mean everything from how future wars are fought, to how countries plan their air defense, and even how aviation fans view India's role in the skies. And remember, we're still only scratching the surface. In the next section, we'll break down the Mk2's core features, and why some experts believe it could outperform even the most popular jets in its class. But before we go there, remember that air power has always been about more than just engines and metal. It's about sending a message. And the Tejas Mk2? That message is loud and clear. The HAL Tejas Mk2 is not a mild upgrade. It is a complete redesign built from lessons learned, battlefield demands, and modern warfare requirements. Every inch of this aircraft serves a strategic purpose. Every feature has been added to solve a specific limitation from the previous generation. For aircraft lovers, it's an engineering case study, and for defense planners, it's a game changer. Let's start with what meets the eye, the size and frame. The Mk2 is significantly larger than the Mk1. It has a longer fuselage, a wider wingspan, and more internal volume. This isn't just to look aggressive. It allows for more fuel storage, a bigger payload, and advanced avionics integration. The jet can carry nearly 6.5 tons of payload, a massive increase from the Mk1's 3.5 tons. That's nearly double the weapons, sensors, or auxiliary pods. In combat, this means more flexibility, more firepower, and longer mission range. At the heart of this aircraft lies its power plant, the GEF 414 ENS-6 engine. This American-origin engine delivers 98 kN of thrust, almost 35% more than the Mk1's F404 engine. That upgrade isn't just about speed, it's about acceleration, climb rate, and sustained performance under pressure. The F414 is known for its combat-proven reliability, used in jets like the Super Hornet. Now, it gives the Tejas Mk2 the power it needs to compete with global frontline fighters. For aviation fans, thrust-to-weight ratio is more than a number. It tells you how alive the jet feels in the air. The Mk2 is designed to have a superior thrust-to-weight ratio compared to many 4.5 Gen fighters in its class, offering sharper turns, quicker responses, and a clear edge in dogfights and evasive maneuvers. Let's talk about cockpit and avionics, the real nerve center of a modern fighter. The Mk2 will feature a glass cockpit with large touchscreen multifunction displays. It replaces the clutter of analog dials with streamlined digital interfaces, giving pilots more clarity, faster decision-making, and reduced mental load. A wide-area display WAD like the one used in the F-35 is being considered. This aligns with how modern combat aircraft are built, around the pilot, not just around hardware. It also features a full digital fly-by-wire system, developed with years of testing and refinements. In simple terms, this system replaces traditional manual flight controls with computer-assisted inputs, giving the pilot seamless control, even in high-G situations. Fly-by-wire systems also enable super maneuverability, vital in both air superiority missions and close-range combat. The radar system deserves special attention. The Mk2 will be equipped with the Uttam AESA radar, a major breakthrough in Indian avionics. AESA stands for Active Electronically Scanned Array. Unlike older radars, AESA allows the pilot to track multiple targets at once, engage beyond visual range, and operate in dense electronic warfare environments. Uttam AESA has already been tested successfully on the Mk1A, and has shown the capability to detect fighter-sized targets at over 150 kilometers. It can jam enemy radar, resist jamming itself, and even track targets in terrain-following mode. For comparison, AESA radar tech is what powers elite jets like the F-22 Rafale Eurofighter. Let's go deeper. Stealth. No, the Mk2 isn't a stealth aircraft like the F-35, but it does feature stealth-by-design techniques. These include radar-absorbing materials, angled surfaces, and internal optimization to reduce its radar cross-section. In practical terms, it makes the Mk2 harder to detect, especially at longer distances. Stealth is not just about invisibility, it's about getting the first shot before being seen. Now combine this with its mid-air refueling capability. The Mk2 comes fitted with a fixed refueling probe, enabling it to stay in the air longer, cover larger combat zones, and take part in deep strike missions far from base. It gives planners greater mission flexibility and keeps the aircraft unpredictable, exactly what you want in a dynamic battle environment. Another point that speaks volumes: weapon versatility. The Mk2 is built with 13 hardpoints, meaning it can carry a wider variety of munitions. Air-to-air missiles like Astra, Python 5, Derby, or even the Meteor in the future. It supports precision-guided bombs, anti-radiation missiles, cruise missiles, and more. This makes it a true multi-role platform, capable of handling interception, ground attack, reconnaissance, and suppression of enemy air defenses, all in one mission if needed. The electronic warfare suite is also upgraded with onboard jammers, countermeasure dispensers, radar warning receivers, and infrared missile approach warning systems. All of this is designed to protect the jet in hostile airspace, buying crucial seconds for the pilot to evade or retaliate. One of the most subtle yet impactful features is modularity. The Tejas Mk2 is being built with a high degree of modularity and open architecture. This allows future upgrades, new radars, engines, or weapon systems to be integrated quickly. It also means foreign buyers can customize the aircraft to their own operational needs. In today's export-driven defense economy, customization equals competitiveness. Psychologically, this level of sophistication in an indigenous platform builds national confidence. When a pilot enters the Mk2 cockpit, they're not just flying a jet, they're flying years of scientific progress, aeronautical expertise, and sovereign pride. That feeling is hard to quantify, but it has a direct impact on morale, combat effectiveness, and the will to defend and dominate. In the broader defense community, the Mk2 is being referred to as India's first truly capable homegrown fighter. Not just a technology demonstrator, not just a political project, but a combat aircraft built for real conflict. And that's why the Mk2 is being watched so closely, not just by Indian aviation fans, but by analysts across the world. It proves a crucial point. A country doesn't need to copy others to build something world-class. It just needs a clear vision, the will to persist, and the engineering talent to turn paper plans into sky-dominating machines. The Tejas Mk2 has all three, and as its first flight approaches, the anticipation isn't just about what the jet can do, it's about what it represents, a modern fighter, built with purpose, power, and pride. The HAL Tejas Mk2 is more than just a machine. It is a signal, clear, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Because when a country builds its own combat aircraft with this level of capability, it doesn't just change its military power, it shifts its entire strategic posture. For decades, India's Air Force has operated a mixed fleet of imported fighters. Mirage 2000 seconds from France, MiG 29 seconds, and Su-30 MKIs from Russia, Jaguars from the UK. Each of these jets came with their own performance levels, logistics chains, and political strings. Managing them was like juggling 5 different aircraft cultures, each with different requirements and support systems. But now, many of these aircraft are nearing the end of their operational life. The Mirage 2000 seconds and Jaguars in particular are aging fast. Their maintenance is costly, spare parts are becoming scarce, and keeping them combat ready is becoming a logistical nightmare. This is exactly where the Tejas Mk2 becomes not just relevant, but essential. The Mk2 is being developed to directly replace these older fighters. It won't just fill a gap, it will upgrade the force structure of the Indian Air Force. One platform, capable of performing multiple roles, with modern electronics and systems designed for today's battlefield. That means streamlined training, easier maintenance, and quicker deployments. From a tactical perspective, this is a significant shift. From a strategic view, it is transformational. But there's a deeper layer to this, something more psychological. A nation's ability to produce and sustain its own combat aircraft is seen as one of the highest forms of technological sovereignty. Only a few countries in the world possess this capability. Nations like the United States, Russia, China, France, and the UK. With Tejas Mk2, India steps into that elite circle, not as a junior player, but as a credible and self-reliant producer of frontline fighters. This shift in perception changes how India is viewed globally. It changes how defense partners negotiate. It changes how adversaries plan. It builds leverage. According to a study by Rand Corporation, indigenous defense manufacturing doesn't just improve readiness, it creates a psychological deterrent, because it tells potential adversaries that even in the face of embargoes or conflict, the country can sustain its own defense ecosystem. It can produce, upgrade, and evolve. That is a powerful message. And it's not just about self-use. The Tejas Mk2 is being designed with export in mind. The Indian government and HAL have openly stated that the Mk2 will be offered to friendly nations once it enters production. Countries like Argentina, Egypt, and the Philippines have already shown interest. For many of these nations, Western jets are too expensive, and Chinese options come with strings attached. The Mk2 presents a balanced alternative, affordable, capable, and politically neutral. If India succeeds in exporting the Mk2, it could become a serious player in the global defense market. This would boost India's economy, deepen defense ties with partners, and create long-term geopolitical influence, all centered around one fighter jet. And here's where psychology plays another role. Exporting a fighter aircraft is not like selling cars or electronics. It requires trust, confidence, a belief that the seller can deliver long-term support, spare parts, training, and upgrades. With Tejas Mk2, India is stepping into that responsibility, and doing so with a product that reflects decades of experience, testing, and learning. But the impact doesn't stop at the runway. The Mk2 is also a symbol of national confidence. For Indian engineers, designers, and technicians, it is proof that high-end aerospace capability is not just possible, it is achievable. It reinforces the Make in India vision, not as a slogan, but as a living, flying reality. And this matters. Studies in behavioral psychology have shown that symbolic victories often lead to deeper shifts in public perception. When a country successfully builds its own fighter jet, it influences everything from national pride to STEM education interests to foreign policy credibility. It's more than just defense, it's identity. On a regional scale, Tejas Mk2 will also shift balance of power dynamics. South Asia is a complex neighborhood, with China aggressively expanding its air force and Pakistan modernizing with JF-17 Block 3 seconds. The need for a fast, powerful, and flexible platform is urgent. The Mk2, with its AESA radar, advanced avionics, and long-range strike capabilities, gives India the edge it needs to counter evolving threats. It fills a capability gap that has long existed. A medium-weight, multi-role fighter that can do both air dominance and ground strike, without needing to rely on expensive foreign aircraft. And while it's not a stealth jet, it sits comfortably in the 4.5++ generation class. That means it can match or exceed the performance of aircraft like the F-16 Block 70, the JS-39 Gripen, and even China's J-10C in certain mission profiles. The global defense community has taken notice. Analysts at Aviation Week, Flight Global, and Defense News have written extensively about the Mk2's design, comparing it favorably with established platforms. This kind of attention doesn't come easily. It is earned through performance and credibility. And that credibility comes from what the Mk2 represents at its core: autonomy. The ability to design, test, and build a combat aircraft signals that a country is ready to control its own destiny in aerial warfare. That's the kind of power no contract can buy. The Tejas Mk2 is still in development, but its impact is already being felt. In boardrooms, in think tanks, in enemy radar rooms, there is one message being received loud and clear: India is done importing its future. The Mk2 is not just a tool for defense. It is a tool for reputation, diplomacy, and power projection. And that's why this aircraft is about more than metal and software. It's about what happens when a nation believes in its own potential and builds something that forces the rest of the world to believe it too. By 2026, the world may witness the first flight of a jet that represents not just India's technological leap, but a global shift in the future of air combat. The HAL Tejas Mk2 is entering a space that's evolving faster than ever, where speed, data, adaptability, and autonomy are redefining what it means to control the skies. Its rollout is more than a project milestone. It marks the moment India moves from being a buyer of aerospace power to a creator of it. Development timelines for fighter jets are often ambitious, but with the Mk2, progress is tracking at a serious pace. The metal cutting phase began in 2022. Full-scale engineering models are nearly complete, and critical components, including the powerful GE F414 engine, have already been integrated into test platforms. HAL plans to have the prototype take to the skies by the end of 2025, with ground tests intensifying before that. Once flying, the Mk2 will enter a rigorous flight test program to validate its systems, stability, avionics, and weapons integration. But even before it enters service, it is already shaping the mindset of modern air combat in the Indian Air Force. The aircraft is built with a future in mind. It's not just a platform for today's weapons, it's a digital framework for tomorrow's technologies. At its core, the Mk2 is designed to be software-defined. That means its combat systems, threat detection, radar responses, and even flight characteristics can be updated through code. In future conflicts, this capability becomes crucial. Threats evolve, and so must the tools that counter them. In a time when electronic warfare is just as critical as dogfighting, the ability to reprogram the jet for new missions gives it long-term relevance. This adaptability also fits into a larger picture: India's roadmap toward its next-generation stealth fighter, the AMCA, or Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. The Tejas Mk2 serves as a critical bridge between current-generation jets and fifth-generation platforms. It allows Indian pilots, engineers, and tacticians to transition smoothly into more complex systems. Many of the avionics, materials, and electronic warfare components designed for the Mk2 will find their way into AMCA prototypes. So in many ways, flying the Mk2 means training for the future of warfare. It also helps India refine its manufacturing pipeline. The challenges of building an advanced fighter jet at scale, maintaining quality, ensuring supply chains, and handling production demands are being met head-on. HAL is preparing new production lines and expanding its workforce. The goal is to produce at least 16 to 20 aircraft per year once full production starts. For context, that's the kind of pace required to rebuild squadron strength and replace aging jets across the Indian fleet. But the Mk2 is not just an aircraft for one country. It represents a shift in how nations view access to air power. Traditionally, only countries with vast military budgets and deep industrial bases could afford advanced fighter jets. But the Mk2 may offer an alternative. Its development cost is significantly lower than Western equivalents. yet its performance rivals or even exceeds some of them in critical mission roles. This could democratize access to 5++ Gen air power, especially for nations in Asia, Africa, and South America. And this is where the aircraft appeals not just to governments, but to air forces and pilots themselves. The Mk2 is being designed for ease of use, low maintenance, and high sortie rates. Unlike some Western aircraft that require extensive ground crews and long turnaround times, the Mk2 promises operational readiness with less complexity. In high-pressure environments where jets may need to take off multiple times a day, this feature is invaluable. At the same time, the aircraft's modular architecture allows foreign customers to integrate their own weapons, radar, or communication systems. This kind of flexibility is rare and incredibly attractive. It gives buyers a sense of ownership and control without being locked into a specific defense vendor ecosystem. The psychological value of that cannot be overstated. For pilots, flying an aircraft that reflects their nation's identity builds confidence. For political leaders, fielding a modern, homegrown, or co-produced jet boosts credibility. For defense planners, having a fleet that can be sustained domestically offers freedom. Freedom from sanctions, from delays, and from foreign pressure. And then there's the battlefield. Future air combat will not just be about who has the fastest jet. It will be about who processes information faster, who shares data better, and who adapts in real time. The Mk2 is being built with network-centric warfare in mind. It will be able to operate as part of a larger combat cloud, linking with other aircraft, drones, satellites, and ground systems. In a live conflict, this allows coordinated strikes, real-time threat responses, and smart mission planning. The integration of AI-based systems and onboard analytics means the aircraft can assist the pilot in everything from target selection to threat prioritization. While not fully autonomous, the Mk2 will support human-machine teaming, where artificial intelligence enhances, rather than replaces, pilot decision-making. This approach reflects a broader trend in modern warfare. Machines becoming partners, not just tools. And as autonomous drones and unmanned wingmen become more common, the Mk2's ability to lead or coordinate with these systems gives it a strategic edge. It won't fly alone. It will fly as the central brain in a larger, faster, smarter Air Force network. In many ways, the Tejas Mk2 is a product of both ambition and necessity. It carries the weight of decades of research, failed starts, breakthroughs, and hard-earned experience. But now, it flies toward a future that's no longer imagined. It's being engineered. 2026 will be remembered as the year India's aerospace journey took a definitive step forward. But the real story will unfold in the skies of the 2030s, when squadrons of Tejas Mk2 jets begin operating not as testbeds, but as the mainstay of air dominance, patrolling borders, defending interests, and perhaps even flying in the colors of nations beyond India. For those who love aviation, not just as machines, but as symbols of power, progress, and pride, this is a moment worth watching. Because every now and then a jet is born that doesn't just fit into a category, it creates a new one. And Tejas Mk2 may just be that jet.